Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I really do appreciate your time. Today I wanted to share a couple of different projects with you. And I know from the thumbnail you might think they have nothing to do with each other, and they really kind of don't, but the feeling about them is the same, so I thought it would be kind of fun to put them together in the same video. So this has to do with, have you ever both loved and hated a project so much at the same time? Of course you have. We all have. It happens all the time. But in this case, this is really one that is on the far side here and the far side here for me, because I'm kicking myself for the part that I don't like about it. It has to do with not doing a gauge. You've got to do a gauge. You've got to do a little bit of the project that you're going to work on to see if you like it or not before you commit to a full-size blanket, even a full-size baby blanket. So this is a 30-inch by 30-inch blanket. So I'll tell you why I love it so much. This is the Forever Fleece. I wanted it from the moment I saw it. It was a limited time only for $11.99 a skein, and the skeins were where's my size? 9.9 ounces, so 280 grams, 385 yards, and that's 352 meters. So it's 100% polyester, and it's absolutely the softest thing I've ever touched in my entire life. But for $11.99, I wasn't about to buy that. It's a 5 bulky, so that's great. It's thick, it's soft, it's comfy, it's cozy. Of course, you're going to see it made up for babies. This colorway is unicorn, of course. So that's like that interior part of me is unicorn. So anytime I see something that's called unicorn, I'm like, of course, I've got to have it. So, love the yarn. Love the blanket, waited forever for it to go on sale, kept touching it, kept coming back to it. Finally found it, I think for $3 a skein, and they just had 2. And I would have bought up every color that they had. And I've seen it since, you know, back up to full price or whatever, coming out in new colorways and stuff. So if you've got a coupon for 1 skein at a time, something like that, I might entertain that idea. But the reason that I don't like it has to do with the pattern. So as you guys know, I have been working my little benzolis off out of my 86 crochet stitches guidebook. And this is, let me take off my little sticky note. This is the way it looks in the book, which is just beautiful. And I thought that would work up really well in the Forever Fleece. So here's that close up. Look how beautiful. I can't even stand it. I want this yarn in every color that ever came out, but I'm not spending $12 a skein. Okay, so here is the problem. Do I say it or do I show you first? Here is the problem. I got to sew in a string still, but the pattern calls for the cluster ends with a chain 1. And the pattern calls for this row to end with a cluster. So you've got your chain 1, and then it says to do another chain 1 before your DC in the last stitch. So we've got this gaping hole along the side of the pattern. Now, a cluster stitch, there's a million different videos out there, and I could have gone out there to watch any of those, of course. But again, I'm trying to work out of my little book, and if the pattern says to put the chain 1 in there, that's what I'm going to do. But I absolutely hate it. Every time I look at this blanket, I start love, 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 and then I see that extra big gaping side, and I just can't stand it. So I'm very frustrated in the fact that I kind of like baked this cake, and I read to put in a cup of salt, and I did, and then I'm surprised why it looks like it does, or tastes like it does. So there's something to be said about following a pattern, and Amy's little OCD says that if you follow a pattern, you're going to have a good result, but I don't believe so in this case. I'm really super mondo disappointed in the way that looks. But, you know, I thought about, do I run a little ribbon through it? Well, like, what do I do? I can't do anything to fix that. So, to share the parts that I love about this blanket is, like I said, it's 2 skeins of the Forever Fleece. and I have this tiny little ball left. So what I did was, this is worked up with a, where am I? This is worked up with a J hook, of course, and I did 94 chains. Oh, I love it. It's about 30 by 30. I like the way the colorways, you know, the colors played out. I love the unicorn name. I love a cluster stitch. I absolutely love a cluster stitch. It's so thick and squishy and fantastic. Gaping hole. So I'm going to focus on the fact that I love it, and I'm going to try not to look at that part, but I don't know how to get away from it because it's all I can see. I do want to just hold the baby in the blanket because it is so soft. I don't know what else you'd make out of this. It's warm, sitting on my lap just for this video. It's warm. So you've got to have it in like cold conditions, really, if you ask me. It is going to be a snuggly wuggly no matter what you do with it. I mean, and a lot of the solid colors were very nice that you could make a non-baby blanket, you know, make one for yourself. But yeah, so I just wanted to point out a love and hate of the same item. If you've had a project that you just absolutely love, 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 oh my gosh, I can't stop touching it. I don't want to put it down. But you see something that you just hate about the project, leave me a comment down below. Let us know that, you know, this happens to all of us. You love it and you hate it. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is these mittens that I found on I can never say it, Brunaticality. I'll link it down below, of course. I saw this little snippet in my suggested videos, and I told myself I had to make it. It sparked my interest immediately. So as you can see, you start out and you just work it, and then pull it back around and sew the end together. And so this was fantastic. The video is very easy to follow, and she starts to talk about changing the pattern just a little bit to curve to your hand a little bit more if you want to. And so I made this. I found this before I made my bulky mittens with the Caron cakes video that I've got posted. And so I'll link that down below as well in case you missed it. But I made this one before I started on that project, and it just laid flat by itself for a long time until I decided I was going to come around to making the second one. Well, in making the second one, it had been days or weeks or whatever since I'd made the first one, and I did not take well enough notes on how I did the decreases on the side of my hand. So they are not the same size, which is problematic, right? One of them weighs 38 grams and one of them weighs 41 grams. And so I'll insert a picture here where you can clearly see they are not the same as each other. So in the other bulky mittens and hat video that I did with the Caron cakes, the Caron anniversary cake, there's a red pair of gloves that I made that I was altering, and I normally I make one glove at a time and then you make the other glove. And so sometimes I make the one glove and either never make the second glove, or it takes forever, and then like in this case I forget the changes that I made. So for that red pair and going forward, what I'm going to do is, as soon as you make, you make the cuff on this side, you make the cuff on this side, so you did the same thing. You start the first row on this side, you start the first row on this side, so you do the same thing. Because as well as talking about the decrease here, she lays out the chain that you're going to do for your thumb, so that if you've got a big old honking thumb, you can make it a little bit bigger, and so you're working with a measurement here as opposed to a stitch count. So that's something that could change. If I measured this one, maybe I was feeling long in the thumb that day and short in the thumb that day. I don't know. But I think that what I learned from this experience going forward, as well as working with the other yarn that I did, is that I am going to make one, do one row at a time as I go, so that they are completed the same way, at the same tension. Maybe I was super uptight when I was doing one and loosey-goosey on the other one, so I used up more yarn. I don't know. So I like the idea that I'm going to tell myself to do it at the same time going forward. Something else that I want to share with you that I kind of messed up is that, you know, you can see here that the pattern for the cuff, as in most glove cuffs, is a back loop only. And then you just go straight into using the full stitch. There's no like break. And so if you're not paying attention, you can do like I did. And here, let me pull my thumb out of the way. On this one, you can see that I continued the back loop only about halfway up. So I had to make sure that this was the inside of my glove. When you fold them together, you make them identical. And then when she tells you how to fold it together to sew it, one is specifically for the right hand and one is specifically for the left hand. Now, I don't know why. If they're made exactly the same, they should be interchangeable with each other, because that's just my opinion. But the thumb gets placed in such a way that, you know, I guess it does become a right hand or a left hand. So these are really comfy and warm, and I used just a, you know, simple to find yarn. The yarn that she uses in the video is wackadoo crazy. It reminds me of homespun in that it's little, like, it's not just a straight yarn, it's like a fancy yarn. And I would never be able to see with it, but it worked out to be a beautiful mitten for her. But these I made with Vanna's Choice, which I've got a ton of, and I love this green. I made another set of gloves. They were called Turtle Cottage something. I'll look it up and try to link it. And they're super, super comfy as well. So I really liked the green color, and I have some more of that. So I went ahead and used this. And this is just your standard 100% acrylic, medium worsted weight 4. This ball happens to be 100 grams, or the skein. But like I said, one of these I used 40 grams and one I used 38 grams. So you certainly can get 2 gloves out of 1 skein of the yarn. It's great yarn. I love this yarn, and I love starting to use it now. It's one that's been on my shelf for a very long time. Like, I bought up a whole bunch of it at one time, and now I'm starting to go through it. So I'm really enjoying that. Alrighty guys, thanks for sitting with me today. I really appreciate your time. I hope you have a wonderfully blessed day, and I hope you'll come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye.